Welcome to Push to Pass podcast with JP Murray, a discussion about business, racing, sports, and life. This podcast delivers insights on what makes businesses, teams, and people successful based on real-life business experiences. Following a career with America's largest associations, JP Murray founded the Murray Company, one of Washington, D.C.'s most successful consulting firms. The company was acquired successfully and enabled him to launch JP Murray Racing, a business development and sponsorship agency for auto racing teams. Here is JP.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode where I'm going to share a personal story of how I launched a racing sponsorship business from Zippo. Absolutely nothing. That's a story about a little bit of strategy, a little bit about following your passion, some determination, and just frankly the process I went through in my head to get started. When I was a kid, my sports hero growing up, I had a number of them. A.J. Foyt was one of them, a racing legend who inspired me before I ever thought that I'd be in the business. I listen to the Indy 500 on the radio every year live. And by the way, it is the greatest live sports broadcast on the planet. I would encourage you to sync it to your TV viewing every year if you watch that greatest spectacle in racing. But this story isn't really about racing as much as it's about how you take your existing skills and apply them to something that you might be very passionate about. So let's talk about leveraging your existing platform, your skills, and your talent. So for 30 years, I was in major associations working in some sort of business development role. Organizations like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the American Trucking Associations, and others. Then I also formed my own agency to sell sponsorships and memberships, strategic advice to the Washington, D.C. influence community or market. That's where I started to develop skills in sales and marketing communications overall. So very important for everyone here. Develop the talents and a track record in areas that might be transferable to other industries. If you're just not absolutely passionate about a particular vertical industry, learn about things that are transferable so you can go from industry to industry vertical and still be relevant. Frankly, accounting, it's numbers. So that works in a variety of different industries. It doesn't matter. If that's what you like, do that. I came into the motorsports space with some key advantages in sales, marketing, branding, and comms. But more importantly, I had become a racing sponsor myself. For 3 years, I'd seen firsthand what had worked and what did not, without knowing that I would launch into that field eventually. I knew the pain points, the missed opportunities, some of the gaps in the industry. Can you get adjacent to the industry like I did by sponsoring to learn about it? Not totally committing during that process, because when you announce that you're going to get into a new industry or new space and launch a new company, you're going to have access and doors closed. People aren't going to share as much when you're an entrant as when you're just a part of the ecosystem, learning and participating, if you will. So here is a quick transition. My agency was acquired, so I had a non-compete and I wanted to keep working, so I would need to take a short hiatus from Washington, D.C. industry and get into another one. So I'm sitting there going, man, what do I know about? What have I been next to? What am I passionate about? And that I might be able to offer some service in a new and different way. And that was motorsports. And it was in sales and marketing for drivers and teams. Then I start the third part of this, and that's a differentiation strategy. Especially if you're a new player, it's imperative to have a different narrative and theme selling motorsport sponsorships. I wanted to bring energy to an industry that often takes itself as a very cool place. You know, there's a lot of sunglasses here. Most racing professionals are channeling kind of their inner Steve McQueen, cool and reserved. And I kind of decided to be the opposite. I wanted to host, explain, to sell the sport as a super fan. I also added to the story that I was a businessman. I wasn't a racer. Some marketers not familiar with motorsports may be hesitant with a platform that they're unfamiliar with, and I could help bridge them there because I had been a business guy too, just involved in racing. So I didn't have the racing street cred, but I could portray this as a good business move just as a business person. So I think you've got to have that differentiation strategy when you launch into a new field from scratch. The next step is really about the mindset and demanding excellence. You're going to be new. There's a quote that I love from Tom Landry. You get what you demand, you encourage what you tolerate. So in sports, that's crystal clear. There's a scoreboard, there are results, there are wins and losses. In business, it's a little bit more nuanced, and often I think you can accept mediocrity in that space. So my mindset then was, although I was new, and I was launching into a new vertical, I wanted to demand a clear, data-oriented, results-driven approach to motorsport sponsorships. Just because I was new to the industry would not be an excuse for any shortcomings. All right, kind of along these lines, you want to tell yourself some business truth. You're going to need patience to start from nothing. You're not going to be accustomed to some of the things that you're going to face. And if you expect to walk out and start hitting dingers from the very beginning, that's not going to happen. But I also recognize that winning does not negotiate and has little care for you or your best intent. Just the fact that I'm entering a space doesn't mean that I'm going to get a better shake than anyone else. So I guarantee you there's going to be a mindset play here that's going to be very important. I want you to think about it early. Finally, this may surprise you. The next step or stage is personal development. This was a real turning point to me. I wasn't a good salesperson. In fact, terrible early in my career. I wasn't trained. I didn't have skills. But I discovered something that changed everything. I had a book on sales scripts that I bought. I use it 20 years later. I'm still tweaking it, refining it, having new scripts, but I'm committed to that. That changed me. It's a good thing that you're going to love that space because you're going to have to learn about it. So I started learning all I could about racing and motorsports marketing and just the language of it while I was still maintaining my base fundamentals of good sales process and strategy. Because the best in sports or business take training seriously. They analyze, they improve, they're relentless in that area. And most people in business, I've found, they do the bare minimum to not get fired. So remember, there's always a book, a course, a seminar that can change your entire trajectory. And for me, it was a sales script book. What's it going to be for you? To kind of wrap this up, to start from zero, if you have a passion, inventory your skills, get adjacent to the space and observe before you launch into it. Differentiate your company at the very beginning. Have a mindset of demanding excellence regardless of your position as a new player. But have some patience and have a great appetite to learn. I hope you are ending this year in a fantastic way and maybe launching something new in 2025. And I got to tell you, if you're interested in doing something like this, just call me on the phone. And if I can help you in any way, I'd be delighted to. Can't wait to chat with you next week on the Push to Pass podcast with JP Murray. So long, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Push to Pass podcast with JP Murray, a discussion about business, racing, sports, and life. If you would like to sponsor Push to Pass, send an email to jp@jpmurray.com. Follow JP on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. His website is jpmurray.com. Until next time, push yourself to pass the competition. Thanks for listening.